Hello and welcome to today's Facebook Live. My name is Maggie Nielsen and I'm here with Purse Strings. But more importantly, I'm here today with Lisa Kaplin. I guess you're on this side. Um, can't figure it out, but Lisa, so glad to have you here today.
Thanks, Maggie. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Of course, of course. This whole month of February, we are talking about money and marriage, which has been a ton of fun topics. Last week, we talked about some things to put in place before you get married. Next week, some prenups, some postnups, different fun things. We did an Insta Live about planning for a wedding, but today we are doing financially opposite. Those spenders who love savers, savers who love spenders. As much as you love them, there can be some head-to-head on that one. For anyone who's new here, we are Purse Strings. We're all about providing free financial education for women, but then a network of professionals who you could hire and help you in all financial aspects of life. So financial advisor, attorney, mortgage broker, realtor, or Lisa here is a life and executive coach, which is so important. And you said you've been staying busy because a lot of people have been kind of anxious lately.
It's been a busy time and a rough time both.
Yeah, definitely. But we're going to have 30 minutes of fun today. So let's just jump into it. Lisa, I'd love if we could just start by you giving a little intro to yourself.
Absolutely. So I'm actually a psychologist as well as a psychology. I've talked about family systems, and this really falls into this, the opposite concept. I've studied family systems. I've studied communication, relationships, all of that. And money is one of the hottest topics around all of those things.
Yeah, I'm so excited to dive in because it's been interesting learning so much how people don't even have these conversations before they get married, which is also, yeah, and it's amazing. And it's funny when people say like, oh, well, that's very personable. I feel very vulnerable. I'm always like, well, aren't you going to marry that person?
Exactly. Yeah. Like, let's talk about that, right?
Right? And out of all the people in the world to have a discussion with, I feel like that'd be easiest. But
your partner, your life partner.
I digress. So financially opposite, savers and spenders. What does this kind of look like? Could you dive into that a bit more?
Well, what it looks like is literally you married the opposite, or you marry, or you're in a relationship with. I don't want my kids have called me heteronormative, but you're in a relationship with a loved one, and your money mindset is one way, and theirs is pretty much the opposite way. And so you say like spend freely, and they say we have to save every penny. So it's very like night and day. It doesn't seem like you're at all on the same page. That's just the basics of what it looks like.
Right. And I can see how that would be, hard if you don't see eye to eye on a relationship.
Right. So I would say that when you start to look deeper into this, we're actually often attracted to that. Like, oh gosh, that person's so relaxed with money and I'm so uptight with it, or vice versa. Or maybe this person's going to help me save and this person's going to help me spend. The problem is that it looks good, like kind of like romance when you first meet each other, everything looks good. And then when you get together, after a while, it's like, this doesn't look so good. And then it turns into disagreement. So what you might have been attracted to at the beginning is now something that you don't like about them, which leads to, as you can imagine, like fighting and chaos and all that good stuff.
It's always fun to those little red flags become big. We always like to say those red flags become billboards.
Right, exactly. Flashing billboards in Times Square. Right, exactly.
And so a lot of this kind of comes from money mindset, the way we grew up about money. If I always had money to kind of throw around and to spend, or my family spent that way, that's kind of what I'd be used to versus kind of the scarcity thinking. So right. How do we kind of go through this conversation with our other?
So if you can find a place, and I mean like not a physical place, but an emotional place, to really be vulnerable with each other, of saying, this is what I came from, and this is what scares me about money. This is what excites me about money. Helping each other be really conscious and honest about it. Because often we're just in reaction mode about money. There's a few topics that just trigger those strong reactions. the truth is, most of us started getting money messages when we were babies, when we were toddlers. We were getting money messages that we didn't realize, and we literally brought those money messages right into our adult relationships, and so we're unconsciously in them. So helping each other get conscious without judgment. So if your partner says, I'm really scared about money, I really want to save money, I'm afraid that we're spending too much, instead of saying, you idiot, spending is fun, which try not to say that too often.
It is fun, agreed.
Right. The idiot part, try not to say that too often, right? That's the part not so great. But if you say, wow, this seems like really important to you, I want to hear you out on this, and really give each other the space to talk about it, you're so much more likely from that space to say, okay, so what do we want to do with that? What would be comfortable for you? What would be comfortable for you? And finding not just a compromise, but like a true win-win about what your money relationship looks like.
Right. And the thing that's kind of fun about money is you can see it in the numbers. You can
Right.
see like, so we don't have enough to hit the bills. That is what it is. But it's also like you're saving and we have all this money. Like,
Right.
see how we're secure here and here and here. And that's a lot of thing. Women save a lot of money for, security purposes.
Right.
But you could also have someone kind of sit down with you and be like, I respect where you're coming from, but also like, I can show you how to live a little bit.
Right. Right. Well, once you get, so to your point, this is so great. Once you get to the point where you've heard each other and you trust each other, then it's like, hey, will you help me understand like how to save a little more, and I can help you understand how to have a little more fun, like how to live with it a little bit. Then you really think about how great that could be, that you're literally helping each other. You're exponentially growing your money message in it as you're growing your relationship. Can you
Right.
imagine? Like, because most relationships, you're totally fighting about money. It's one of the top things people fight about.
Right. Exactly. And, it's one of those things like, how much are you okay, spending without consulting with the other, or
Yes.
having some of these conversations that, there's some conversations you're used to having with like a girlfriend or just a different kind of relationship, but this is kind of a conversation where you don't have that often. And so
Right.
I feel like this is kind of the only relationship where that's really brought up, and you have to kind of get used to these conversations.
Absolutely. I mean, I think of it, I don't know if Catholics still do this, but Catholics would do this pre-Cana, where you would talk about some of these really hard topics. We need it doesn't have to be a non-denominational conversation about
Right.
money. How do you think about money? Sharing how much money you each you want to make, how much you want to save, what feels comfortable, that money number, like how much can I spend without having to consult with you first, and vice versa. Those are so huge, and honestly, they're the last things we talk about. We talk about like the wedding and the honeymoon, and those are fun things, but we're not talking about the big stuff that really matter.
Right. And what's amazing is when you open this conversation, you can start seeing what each other's goals are and really making that plan, making those goals come alive.
Yes.
Because you have to have the same vision enough to make it there together.
Yes,
Um,
exactly. Right.
so yeah, these conversations are very important. And so bringing them up could be hard. Is there a best location or time you think these conversations should be had?
Early, often, everywhere. I mean, really, as I think about it, my husband and I, we really did not have this conversation. We both had like good careers, but we never, and then we got married, and like one of the first things we did was open a bank account together, still not talking about it. It really took like fighting, which it wasn't fun, to get to the heart of someone. I'm gonna say, I don't know that we fully have yet. Like there's still time. We've been married 32 plus years. Like, we're still trying to figure out early and often, and even what is often missing is, what if one of you stops working for whatever reason, having a baby or an illness, or taking care of older relatives? What does that look like? How do we share credit cards? Do we not share credit cards? Do we not share bank accounts? Really bringing all of these things up so that they're out in the open, and they're an easy and open discussion, and they're a continuous discussion. Because let's face it, like with money, we're always paying bills, we're always getting our paychecks, God willing, and all of those things. We should be talking about it.
And I'm so glad you brought up the point of like if someone decided to stay home and watch the kids or take care of an elderly parent. I was talking to one professional who's like, well, if we do that, we're signing a prenup saying or postnup that, if we decide to split, in 8 years, you have to pay me so much because we agree that I'm selling my business,
Wow.
you're earning the income, I'm at
Yeah.
home. And so if anything happens, I'm going to be so behind because you've been running your business for 8 years. I gave up my
Right.
business.
Right.
So it's
Which
important to
is
have these conversations of where this money from the earner is going.
totally. And how, like, it's traditionally been women, we've given up our earning potential because we stayed home and raised the kids. So if something happens to the relationship, divorce, death, whatever that is, we've left millions of dollars on the table, literally, but also our potential in the moment has dramatically changed. So often I think women tend to think, well, it'll all be fine. Not necessarily. If 50% of us are getting divorced, then it's not.
Yeah.
It is not really working out. And so what does that look like, right? Having that discussion as well. If for whatever reason, and most of us don't want to talk about things not working out, but it happens,
Yeah.
or if we were injured and you couldn't work, what does it look like? We got to figure that out.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's, if anything does happen, you both know it's happening. You're both part of the conversation and you're both of like, okay, these are the next steps or how we proceed or what our emergency plan kind of is as
Right.
well.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So as we can see, finding someone who's financially opposite, as much as it might seem great, it can have some hard twists and turns in a relationship. But I think money is one of the things people get divorced most about is like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
conversation or lack thereof.
Hmm. But when you think about it, is it really the money people are getting divorced about? It's not, it's their values.
Yeah.
And, so that's the other piece, is getting really clear on your values. What are your top values? Is it fun? Is it, security? Is it, peace? Is it independence? What is it? Well, the money plays a role in that value without
Right.
question. So then, okay, these are my values. Here's how money plays a role in that. Let's talk about that as well. And maybe you don't have the same values, which can be okay. That can absolutely be worked out. But so if yours is security and I'm like, mine is fun, I'm spending because I'm having fun, and you're staying home saving your money. Are we okay with that? Maybe.
I want to go have fun.
Right, exactly.
I don't want you to have all the fun without me.
I'm on the fun bandwagon, so no. But I think, can couples who are opposites make it work? Yes, they absolutely can, but not without conversations.
Yeah, definitely. And we need to
Right.
have conversations about a lot of things. And so this is just a big one we always want to bring to the top of the list.
Yeah.
Because, it's true. We're not all the same with money. We do have
Right.
these different beliefs and thoughts and ways to go about it.
Right.
So yeah, it's important to have these conversations, be respectful and really honor what they have to say. And kind of, sit with that for a minute to kind of understand them better.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, absolutely. Without judgment. I think that's, if you can, sit with your partner and hear them out without judging, you've already opened a huge door to better conversations.
Yeah. And I just think about, if you grew up in two completely different lifestyles, how opposite it will be just because you don't know and you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
It's never in
Right.
a bad way. It's just, it's new.
Different. It's a different way. Yeah, exactly.
So do you have any other tips or advice you'd like to give about money and marriage before we sign off today?
I think my biggest tip is to this is really hard to do. This, by the way, goes for anything in a relationship. If you could put your own stuff away, you know what I mean, like your emotional stuff away, and say, my job right now is to fully hear and understand my partner. Which, by the way, if my husband's watching, he's going to say, you don't always do that. That is accurate. I do not always do it. I'm working. It's a growth in process. I'm growing in progress, in process. But if you can do that, like put all your judgment away and be fully present and hear your partner out, that alone is going to, improve your relationship dramatically, but also improve your money language and all the pieces that go with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like you said, it's not the easiest things to do. It's a constant growth. It's not something we're used to doing all the time, but
Right. It's
It's
scary.
important.
Yeah, hopefully we raise our kids to start being more comfortable with it, and each generation is a little more comfortable. There's really this movement now to be honest and open about how much money we earn, so there's not so many secrets to money, and
Mhm.
we're all talking about it.
Yeah, I love how we're talking about the things. I mean, religion, politics, money. Before it was, always under the table, and now it's like, let's bring it out
Bring
everywhere.
it on. Right,
Yeah,
it's still there whether we talk about it or not.
yeah. So let's make it the best we can.
Exactly.
Awesome. And then before we sign off, Lisa, could you just share with people, what services you provide or what you could help them with?
Yeah, absolutely. I do life and executive coaching. People really come to me, they're trying to figure out next steps, they're feeling stuck in some way. Anything from career related to relationship related pieces. And so I do life and executive coaching around all of those. That's kind of the short answer, but to help people really get clarity on where they want to go in their lives.
And I just want to clarify that you don't have to be a C-suite executive to use her services. She can help
That
you
is
at
correct.
different processes in life. I feel like that executive coach sometimes people think are only for the C-suite level. You got to get a coach to get you up there.
Exactly. And it's really funny too. People sometimes say, "Can I talk to you about, other things than business?" Yes, because how we do one thing is how we do everything. So we're humans. It's all related.
Yeah, definitely. Where it all goes together.
Exactly.
Well, I appreciate you coming on today and just giving us all this great information, from your coaching and your psychology background. This has been super helpful to kind of learn how to improve these conversations, which will hopefully also improve the relationship.
Yes.
What's the best way for people to reach out to you if they have more questions or would like to book a session?
So my email's in your little thing going through here, Lisa at lisakaplin.com. It's Kaplin, and my website is lisakaplin.com. I kind of kept it simple, but people spell it wrong. So again, Kaplin, you can blame my husband's family for that.
Awesome. Yeah, I've messed that one up a couple times, so I'm glad you clarified on here.
Exactly.
Lisa's also one of our Purse Strings approved professionals, so you could always check her out on our site, pursestrings.co. And we will be here again next week talking about prenups and postnups and all those good details. But until then, be financially fearless. Thank you again,
Exactly.
Lisa.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.